Back here on CBS Sports HQ, we are in week 12 of the NFL, and there are some notable injuries that we have to monitor, especially as it pertains to your fantasy team. That is what we do. We run down the injuries, talk about how it impacts your fantasy team on Fridays. So in the quarterback department, Jaxson is out because of a concussion, so we know that for certain. Aaron Rodgers dealing with that left wrist fracture. He is questionable to give it a go against the Bears. Joe Burrow also questionable this weekend as he is still working his way back from a toe injury. In terms of running backs, Josh Jacobs, Isiah Pacheco, Bucky, Irving, those are some guys we're going to get to in just a moment. Godwin is now questionable. And then over for the Jags, BTJ still out dealing with that ankle injury. So again, what does this mean for your fantasy team? And for that, we bring in the expert, Adam Aizer, who's joining us here on HQ. Adam, we appreciate your time. We're going to start with the quarterbacks, right? So let's start with Jaxson. We know he is officially out because of the concussion that he's dealing with, has not cleared concussion protocol. What does this mean for the Giants offense? And then, of course, Jameis Winston as well, as he is going to be stepping in for Jaxson.
Yeah, oddly enough, I think it could mean more pass attempts and more opportunities at the goal line for somebody like Devin Singletary, because Jaxson Dart's been so good. One thing he does that's not great for other players is he runs a lot near the end zone, barely throws the ball inside the 5-yard line, and he also just runs a lot in general, so the pass attempts aren't very high. So you could get a 40 pass attempt game. You know, they're 10.5-point underdogs. We're expecting the Lions to score a lot of points. You could get a lot of pass attempts. Lions defense has been really good, so I don't think this is going to be a good spot for Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton, who's apparently off the injury report, but I do think they're number 2 or number 3 wide receivers. You could stream them if you want at wide receiver. I don't want Jameis Winston. You know, he only threw 1 interception last week, and it wasn't even his fault. But by golly, he tried to throw more, and the Packers just kept dropping them. So I think the Lions DST is a really good streamer this week. Wan'Dale and Slayton, if he actually does play, are number 2 and number 3 wide receivers respectively, and Jameis is a sit for me.
Yeah, the Jameis Winston experience, it certainly is interesting. Let's get to Joe Burrow really quickly because he is questionable, still working his way back from that toe injury. So what does this mean for the pass catchers in Cincinnati? And then also maybe talk to us about some streaming options too if Joe Burrow has been sitting, on your bench on IR for a long time.
Yeah, the funny thing is I'm not really going to change the pass catchers rankings based on Burrow or Flacco. A little bit of a boost if it's Burrow, but look, it's T. Higgins. He's the only guy, right? Chase is out this week. T. Higgins is a must start. He should have a big game, even though he'll see some tough coverage, but he'll have a big game, I think. Andre Yoshevus, I'm okay with. I'd rather start Wan'Dale Robinson, then Yoshevus, then Darius Slayton, just to talk about the guys we discussed. And then we'll see if Gesicki plays, but Noah Fant, I think, is a decent streamer without Chase. Now, Burrow is really interesting. If he plays, do you trust him? We don't really have much of a sample of Burrow without Jamar Chase and with T. Higgins, not since his rookie year. We have a pretty good matchup, believe it or not. The last 3 quarterbacks have done well against the Patriots. Michael Penix scored 28 points. Baker Mayfield, 28 points. Justin Fields, 21 points, mostly with rushing. So I think I'm going to start Burrow. I have him in 1 league, and I have him and Caleb Williams. So if you have a guy that you're just not really excited about, go with Joe Burrow. It'd be really tough to choose between Burrow and Dak Prescott. Let's say I would go Jalen Hurts, then Burrow, then Dak Prescott if we want to look at that Eagles-Cowboys game. But I would say Burrow is a low-end starter if he plays.
Adam, we're the same person because remember how I told you I had a personal fantasy question for the end? I'm just going to insert it here because I have Caleb Williams and I also have Joe Burrow. So you're saying I should go with Joe Burrow, ?
I think so. I'm pretty low on Caleb Williams.
Okay.
If you look at his game log, it's basically he's beaten up on the Cowboys for sure. I want to say the Commanders, basically the super easy matchups. Otherwise, he's needed these crazy fourth quarters or scrambling or something like that. I don't love Caleb Williams in general, so I would try to get away from him if you could.
Okay, all right, and finally, the last quarterback we want to discuss here, of course, is Aaron Rodgers. He's dealing with that wrist fracture, and we don't really know exactly. He's questionable if he's going to play. Is it going to be Mason Rudolph? So how do you handle that situation if you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback or any of the pass catchers there in Pittsburgh?
If you have Aaron Rodgers, you should be looking at streamers. I really don't want to start him. It's not so unrealistic that he starts and then leaves the game because of an injury. So I think he's a pretty low-end option here. Now, they do have a great matchup. The Bears have been just bleeding fantasy points in the passing game, and they're going to be without 3 of their linebackers. They are going to get a little bit healthier, though, in the secondary, so that's one thing to keep in mind for Chicago. But, look, I don't want to start Rodgers. I don't want to start Rudolph. And quite frankly, it's not going to change anything for DK Metcalf. He's going to be a number 2, number 3 receiver, regardless of who the quarterback is, and he's the only guy in the passing game I'm looking at.
Okay, we got a handful of running back injuries, running back situations to discuss. I'm going to table the Bucs and the Jags running back rooms for now. We'll get to it in a moment. We want to talk about Josh Jacobs, who is out with a knee injury, or questionable, excuse me. Pacheco is out with an injury as well. So if you have these two guys, how do you handle it, starting with Josh Jacobs?
Josh Jacobs would be a must start if he plays. If he doesn't play, picture Jacobs, 75% of his production, I would say, Emmanuel Wilson. Okay, so Jacobs would be a top 12 running back. Wilson, to me, would be about a top 20 running back. I think a little higher on him than Dave Jamie Heath, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I have Emmanuel Wilson in a couple of leagues, and I will start him, even though the Vikings' run defense can be pretty hit or miss. But I think he'll have a good chance to score a touchdown. So, that's the situation for the Packers running back. You're probably starting whoever it is. In terms of Kareem Hunt, I like Kareem Hunt. They haven't been giving him a lot of carries, but I think the game script's going to be a little bit better for him. Sometimes it's been time of possession. Sometimes it's been they're trailing. I think they're going to be playing with a lead, not a big league, but I think there's going to be kind of a back and forth, close, competitive game. They should be able to run the ball. And Hunt he scores. He just finds ways to score. So I think the Chiefs offense is going to get back on track a little bit this week. They're coming home to face the Colts. And Kareem Hunt, I would start Emmanuel Wilson over Kareem Hunt if Josh Jacobs were out. But I do like Kareem Hunt as a top 24 running back.
Okay, let's get to the Bucs because we have a couple of injuries to talk about. Bucky Irving is out. Chris Godwin is questionable. So walk us through what to do if you have any of these guys on offense for Tampa Bay.
I will run you through it. I will run away from Chris Godwin.
Okay.
So first of all, he hasn't been good in the 2 games he's played. Secondly, his head coach, Todd Bowles, said you can't expect 50 snaps in his first game back. So it's an easy sit to me. Could he fall into some production? Absolutely. But they're facing a terrific defense. They're facing the second best scoring defense in football in the Rams. And the Rams are going to be missing one of their top players on defense. Safety Quentin Lake is on IR. But still, too risky to go with Godwin. I'm also going to sit Rachaad White. So then we get to Sean Tucker. I kind of like Sean Tucker. I understand the trepidation. He's not usually that involved in the passing game. He was great against the Bills, and pretty much everyone's great against the Bills. He also played really well against the Patriots, and they have arguably the best run defense in the NFL. His coach said he's earning more opportunities. I think we're going to get 15 or more carries from Sean Tucker. This Rams run defense, they've given up a touchdown in 2 straight games to running backs. Those are the only 2 rushing touchdowns for running backs all year. They're pretty hit or miss when it comes to yards per carry, but they're generally pretty good. It's a tough matchup, but I think Sean Tucker's a really talented running back. Out with Rachaad White, in with Sean Tucker. I would start Kareem Hunt ahead of him, but they're basically back-to-back for me. Both of them are number 2 running backs.
Okay, let's get to the Jags because they have a handful of injuries that they're dealing with. BTJ, he is still out, so what does that mean for the rest of the Jags pass catchers? And then also in the running back department, Etienne, Bashal Tutin, both limited at practice, and we know Liam Cohen really likes to get that run game going. So what does that mean? I don't know. This whole Jags offense looks like a mess, and I have Trevor Lawrence in one of my leagues as well.
Man, you have some bad fantasy quarterbacks.
Wow, thank you so much. As if I didn't know.
Man, you stink at that now. You know what's funny? The Caleb Williams league I have, I'm dying for a replacement. I picked up Trevor Lawrence, but I have Burrow on IR in that league. It'll be an easy drop Lawrence, start Burrow. I would still start Caleb Williams over Trevor Lawrence. I kind of like Lawrence at some point if he can get Brian Thomas Jr. back, have his full complement of weapons, but that's not the case. And what do you do against Arizona? You run the ball. Their run defense is really struggling. I think we're going to get at least 30 carries, unless they're in a bad game script, which I don't think they will be, from these guys. That's kind of a lot. At least 27 carries, let's say, from these guys. I like Etienne. I like him better than Kareem Hunt. I like him better than Sean Tucker. I would go Etienne, Emmanuel Wilson if Jacobs is out, Kareem Hunt, Sean Tucker, Bashal Tutin. Tutin is a solid flex if you're desperate. We've been fooled in the past by rookie running backs to think about Woody Marks had a few start and stops. Bashal Tutin could be the same thing. I'm just not sure. They did talk about him earning it more in practice. I just want to see it again. But he's been working at the goal line. There is a lot of appeal to him. You see the rankings there, 28th, 29th, 26th. That's perfect for Bashal Tutin. If you need a flex, go with him. In fact, you know what? I would start him over Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary. It's a little bit risky, but the Giants are facing the number 1 run defense in terms of fantasy points allowed. The Jaguars have a much better matchup. Okay, there you have it. Bashal Tutin, a solid flex for you if you have him on your roster. Finally, want to talk about tight end. So, Adam, walk us through some of your tight end streaming options here. Sorry, I forgot to mention the Jaguars receivers and answer that question. Jakobi Meyers is a good streamer. Okay,
perfect.
The tight end, if you can still get, yeah, he is though. He's underrated. If you can still get your hands on Juwan Johnson, this is by far the best streaming tight end out there right now. I saw maybe Cade Otton got dropped in shallower leagues. If he's available, he's even better than Juwan Johnson. Hopefully you didn't start Dalton Schultz in a really tough matchup. But yeah, look, you're probably riding with the guy that brought you there. Like I said, I picked up Noah Fant. It's a shot in the dark. I definitely like Theo Johnson this week. He's better than Noah Fant. He's better. He's at the top of this list that you're seeing right here. The Lions have been struggling against tight ends. So really the prizes on waivers are 1, Juwan Johnson, 2, Theo Johnson. After that, you're just kind of crossing your fingers. I think Noah Fant's a decent option. I think Chig Okonkwo in deeper leagues is a decent option. I think Brock Wright, if you're really desperate, he had 7 targets last week. He might be an okay option, but let's hope you have a better tight end than that.
You know what, Adam, you were talking about Jakobi Meyers being underrated. I got into an argument with my brothers because one brother said that he's a top 10 receiver in the NFL, and the other one said, you're literally crazy. So I was just bringing me back to a great old sibling debate that I was having over the weekend. Adam,
what a fun argument. It's going to be a fun Thanksgiving. And my advice for you is to be on the side of the brother who said the other one is crazy, because that's the one who's right in this argument.
That's the older brother, so that makes a lot of sense. The younger brother is a little bit more turnt, right? Okay, Adam, we appreciate it. I appreciated all of your fantasy advice. If you need fantasy advice, you can hear Adam and the guys on Fantasy Football Today. They're helping you win your league, and you can watch right now by scanning that QR code on your screen.